Good morning. My name is Jay Rothman, and welcome to Real People, Real Health. From surviving to thriving, I am excited. It is a Thursday morning. West Coast is about 8 a.m. If you're coming in from overseas, good evening or good morning to you on your Friday. I am so excited to have two people that I have tremendous respect for in my life today. Mrs. Kelly Gores from Heal Documentary and Dr. Jack Wolfson, known as a paleo cardiologist. Welcome to the show. And it's so good to see the two of you together.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I wanted to start out the show by, well, first of all, last time, Kelly, you and I co-hosted a show together. You were pregnant, and a lot's changed in your life since I believe it was sometime in a mid to early spring. You actually birthed a beautiful little girl, and just give you a moment here to share with us what that experience has been like for you and how your life has changed.
Oh, sure. Yep. May 22nd, I gave birth to a beautiful little baby girl named Riley. And it's just, I mean, you know, everyone says that you can't really describe in words the love you feel for this little human you created. But that's true. It's like you can't describe the love that one feels for their child. So I've just been, you know, it's the first few weeks is like so intense. Obviously labor and delivery were intense, but I was able to do it naturally and in the way I kind of hoped for. My body cooperated, although it was a lot of hard work, but worth it. And she, you know, she came into this world exactly how she was meant to. And she was 6 pounds, 10 ounces, but still we went through 17 hours of labor to get her out of there.
Wow.
And, but yeah, just thank God she's healthy and she's really a chill soul. So I don't know. I wish there was some sort of kind of code or formula to know where that, you know, she's such a chill vibe. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's such a good baby. She's such a chill baby. And, you know, I obviously have my spiritual practices that, you know, I had before I was pregnant and continued during pregnancy, and meditation and earthing every day, and, you know, eating fairly clean diet when I wasn't nauseous. And so, you know, I think it translated, or maybe she just came in with a super chill soul. I'm not sure what exactly I can attribute to her chill vibe, but she's an awesome baby, and she's changing so fast. She's 3 months old now, and it's pretty blissful. I'm very lucky that
Beautiful.
she's a baby.
Beautiful. I just would like to share briefly how you and I met. I was and still am participating in Agape Spiritual Center, Reverend Michael Beckwith. And one Sunday I was there with Mary, and he announced that one of his members, Kelly Gores, actually was releasing Heal Documentary. And I was already into my journey of healing, some major medicals, and I was like, heal, what? This piqued my interest. And I went home and I Googled it, of course, and I immediately made it a point to show up. I don't remember if it was the first showing in Santa Monica or the second, but I actually went to a few of your showings and got to meet you and meet a number of individuals that were part of the documentary. And so it's been almost November, I think, or so. It'll be 2 years that you and I have developed a relationship, and we keep in touch, and always sharing some of my updates with you, my highs and lows of the healing process. And you've been such an incredible support and strong supporter in my life today. And I just want to thank you for showing up just on time.
You're amazing.
And Dr. Wolfson, you may not be aware of how we met, but just about 3 weeks ago, I decided to check myself into a local hospital in the Scottsdale area due to chest pains. And it was on the second 12-hour shift of one of the nurses there. Her name is Cheryl, in the cardiology department. Her second shift, she said to me, there's a doctor that I think you ought to meet and or get to know. And I said, what's his name? And she said, Dr. Jack Wolfson. And of course, she left the room, and we went and Googled who Dr. Wolfson is, and we learned all about you. And in that moment, I figured you probably are not local. You because you have a very strong presence throughout the United States. You're a leading doctor in health and wellness as opposed to sick care. And learn to find out that you do hike locally in Scottsdale, Phoenix area, and you are based in Phoenix. And so I was blessed with this opportunity to reach out to you, and you responded, and so here we are. And so welcome to the show, to the conversation. What I'd like to do, Dr. Jack, is invite you to share just briefly a little bit about your backstory. What changed for you in your life? Because at one point, I've got a neighbor who actually met you when she was in the ER, and you were an ER doctor, or you were a doctor on call in the ER a number of years ago. And this was many years back, but a lot's changed for you. And so I'd like to just invite you to take a few moments to share your backstory and how you went from sick care to health care.
Yeah, sure thing, Jay. It's a pleasure to be on with you again, and of course with Kelly. I'm a conventionally trained cardiologist like my father before me. My father was my hero. My father was my idol. He was a cardiologist. I became a cardiologist. Ever since I was a little boy, I was interested in listening to people's hearts and the stethoscope and all the different tools that a cardiologist uses. So I go through all of that training, 4 years of medical school, 3 years internal medicine, 3 years of cardiology. And right towards the end of all that training, my father starts to get sick, and he gets eventually diagnosed with a Parkinson's-like illness. What started off, we thought he was depressed, turns into a more complex neurologic diagnosis, similar to Parkinson's, called PSP, progressive supranuclear palsy. So I see the sickness in my father. I see the sickness all around me every day, as I'm a cardiologist, a senior partner in the biggest group in the state of Arizona. And it was at that moment in 2004 when the Mayo Clinic says they have no idea why my father is sick. There's no therapy or treatment for my father, and he will be dead on average within 3 years. So at that moment is when I got introduced to a woman who would change my life. She is a doctor of chiropractic, as she would say, a doctor of cause. And she said, Jack, you have to become a doctor of cause. You have to understand why your father got sick and everybody else's father and mother got sick. You have to become a doctor of causation. Why did this happen to your father? And she says, your father ate like garbage. He didn't get sunshine. He didn't get sleep. He was around, radiation as a cardiologist and chemicals in the hospitals, and just living an unhealthy lifestyle as a hospital-based cardiologist. And she therefore tells me why my father is sick, and Mayo Clinic had no idea why my father was sick. So the things that she was saying, including, your profession, Jack, the pharmaceuticals, the procedures, they're killing people. They're not helping anybody. It's all just a cover up. You got to get out of that sickness paradigm and into the health paradigm. And she said this, and it was like our first date is when she unloaded all this on me. But I listened. I saw the sickness around me. I saw the sickness in my father. Unfortunately, my father would die from that illness in 2007. But my mission now as a holistic cardiologist is to save millions of other moms and dads from the same fate.
From that day forward, everything changed for you.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, listen, and obviously for me to change, I started changing myself personally because I was living the same lifestyle as my father. I was going to develop that illness or some other illness. I started to change the way I lived. I started to change the way I practiced. I started getting into trouble in the big cardiology practice because nobody else wants to hear this. Nobody wants to talk about organic food. Nobody wants to talk about the importance of lifestyle, the importance of sunshine and sleep. All they want to talk about, the cardiologists, is pills, surgeries, procedures, things that make more money. So I think I'm the ultimate insider. I did all that for 16 years, and now I practice holistically My wife and I together, we opened up a practice called the Doctors Wolfson and Wolfson Integrative Cardiology that you are now well aware of out in Paradise Valley, Arizona, where people from all over the world come for the best in holistic heart care. And I think also to Kelly's side of things, I wrote a chapter in my book. It's called One Nation Under Prozac, and all the mental health issues that lead to cardiovascular illness. And that's something that's so not, it's no cardiologist pays attention to that. No cardiologist says, before your heart attack, what was there some kind of stressful event? Or a woman who comes in with, something catastrophic heart-wise, what happened before that? And we have to let them understand that these were the factors that led to their heart event. And therefore, we need to make sure those factors do not happen to that person again, and really addressing that whole mental wellness side. And of course, the answer will never be Prozac. The answer, again, is to find the cause of why people have mental health issues.
If someone was to come in because their cholesterol levels are high, they've been on statin for some times, or they've been directed that they don't have a choice, as I was told, you have no choice. You have to be on a statin. And there was the first and last time I saw that cardiologist in the Phoenix area, because I said, no, thank you, I'm not interested. But my question to you is as you shared, most doctors are going to be treating the heart ailment. How is your approach different? What do you do differently in your practice?
Well, again, to the cardiologist, and it's no fault of theirs, it's just the way we're brainwashed right from the first day of medical school. It is all medical education is controlled by pharmaceutical companies, and we cannot wait to write that first prescription or do that first test. That's what we're most excited about, because that's how we've been trained. So it's not the fault of the cardiologist that the only thing they have in their toolbox per se are the pharmaceuticals or the surgeries, just like the psychiatrist. All they have in their toolbox are pharmaceuticals and a short time frame to get the person in and out of their office. Here's your prescription, here's your drug, etc. So my approach, of course, is totally different now, where we spend 90 minutes. In some cases, we spend 2 hours in the initial consultation, really diving into all of the health and wellness issues of the individual person. And it's been so exciting to be able to do that for people. And it really has been revolutionary. The pharmaceuticals don't work. They're a miserable failure. They lead to total complications. We need to get out of that pharmaceutical mindset that so many people have. And I think, when you talk about your children, I talk about my children, my 3 children, ages 12, 7, and 18 months. And Kelly talks about her newborn baby girl. This next generation doesn't want the sickness. They're not going to want to take the pharmaceuticals. They're not going to want to see how their parents and their grandparents, all the sickness that was there. They want better for themselves. And I think that, a forum like this and any educational opportunities to be able to tell people, hey, it's about the food, it's about the way you live, it's about physical activity, it's about taking care of your mental health. All that stuff is really, really very important.
Do you only see patients that have, let's say, heart disease or heart challenges, or do you have patients that come through to see you and consult for other diagnoses?
Well, certainly the most common person is somebody with cardiovascular illness or somebody interested in cardiovascular prevention. Where I oftentimes get outside referrals, if you will, is if a family member is seeing me for heart health and they say, hey, my daughter has Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid. Can you help with that? And I say, well, of course I can, because or somebody else has an early stage of cancer. Can I help with that? I think my information can help anybody and everybody. Most certainly, because again, as we become doctors of cause, as you fix the cause of heart disease, you fix the cause of cancer, you fix the cause of mental illness, you fix the cause of diabetes or dementia or Hashimoto's. As all the causes are always the same. It's always poor nutrition, environmental pollutants and chemicals that are doing it.
I love what you just shared, because when people look at me from the outside, they all say the same thing right now. I look incredibly healthy. Yet you ran a series of tests on me just a few weeks ago, and there were tests that no doctor in the last close to 4 years has run on me, including a naturopathic out of Orange County, California, where I resided up until last September. And what struck me, and you and I have not had this conversation yet, that'll be next week when we get together, but everything points directly to one spot, and it has nothing to do with the diagnosis and prognosis that I was given through Western medicine. It blew me away, because I have a symptomatic side effects or symptoms. I don't have the typical symptoms that would have led me to believe what the root cause of the disease that I had been diagnosed with was, in fact, the problem area or the opportunity. I had no idea until I've read these results multiple times now, and I am shocked what I learned. And so I concur with you that what we're, as from a medical perspective, and we're focusing on the cancer, or we're focusing on a mental health, or we're focusing on whatever the diagnosis is, in fact, that is just the end result of other things that we have been impacted by our lifestyle, by the environment, by nutrition, by stresses, by relationships. It's like the toxic cocktail that just got to come together for what we call the perfect storm. And now looking back and reflecting on everything that led up to the last diagnosis I had, in fact, everything that you talk about in your book, unrelated to heart disease, but just what causes disease, I was in total alignment with my lifestyle and the way I chose to treat myself and the choices I made. And so thank you for sharing that. I would like to ask Kelly, from your perspective, you have had so much impact on millions of people. Today, it's around the globe. When Heal first came out, it was in select theaters across the US, and today it's on Netflix, and it's available around the globe. And you have touched millions of people's lives by the work you have done. How is it for you to wake up in the morning and be able to really comprehend that and understand how many lives you have touched and saved by one simple project that you took on?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could do more, is all I can say, because so many people are suffering, and I'm sure you see it in your practice, Dr. Wolfson, but there's so many crazy mystery illnesses and autoimmune, and younger people that should be thriving and healthy are dealing with mental health issues and anxiety and depression and all of these mystery illnesses, and they don't have access to doctors who give them the right path to healing, or know the tests to take to get to the cause, the causation. And it's so frustrating to me, even in my close circle of friends or family, that a healthy friend of mine, it's actually my husband's niece, who's my age, and she just got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm like, what? No, you don't, and it's just the tests or the specialists and the people that she's going to, and I want to be able to do more to people that, if you go to a doctor and you are faced with these symptoms, and then you go to a doctor and get a scary diagnosis that you're told is not curable, except for taking medication for the rest of your life, and then all of these scary things if you don't take the medication, and then all of the scary side effects if you do take the medication. It's a lose-lose, and I want to do more to really there's just this inner knowing that if you get to the root cause through the guidance of someone that can see the big picture, like Dr. Wolfson, that your body can come back into balance by making changes. But if we're so hypnotized into believing that you know, the diagnosis is terminal or there's nothing you can do. You know, we're not offered the right solutions. And I wish there was more. I wish there were more doctors like Dr. Wolfson, and I think there are. It's heading in that direction, but there's the issue of having access, you know, and that's what I want to kind of talk to Dr. Wolfson about, is the challenges of running an integrative clinic and a practice, and, you know, and health insurance, how we need to everything needs to evolve so that more people have access to the right kind of care, to healthcare, wellness care, instead of sick care. And that just weighs heavily on my heart. So I'm so grateful that this project that I was called to do, and so passionate about this topic, has been so well received and has traveled the globe. And you know, it's a good first step to open people's minds. It's kind of a 101 of like, to look at your condition or your situation in a different way and kind of take your power back. But it's only a first step. So I just wish there was so much more I could do. So I think the mission is not over, and you know, it's so wonderful to connect with doctors like Dr. Wolfson, because these are the people that are really getting to the root cause, and they're going to change and help people, you know, heal. I
suspect that doing a documentary was not the end all. It's just the beginning of change, because each life that we touch, and how do we put a value on one life versus 100,000? Each life is meaningful to somebody, to that individual, hopefully, and to the people that are in their own circle, their loved ones and friends. And so each person that we are able to touch through the work you're doing, Kelly, Dr. Wolfson, and those that have the courage to step forward and step out of the belief system that has millions of people suffering in pain and believing prognoses. You know, when they talk about autoimmune, they say that there is no cure for autoimmune. You described what I was told about APS, which was what I had been diagnosed with back in 15. And what I know to be my truth today, it's not that there's no cure, it's just that they have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
That simple. They got the C words mixed up there. It's not about a cure. It's just they just don't have a clue. They don't know where to begin. And so my question to you, Dr. Wolfson, is why do you think that is? Why do the majority of doctors that are practicing traditional Western medicine and protocol, why do they not have a clue? What is it that's blocking them, whether it be in medical school or continued education, that has them living in the dark?
Well, I think, you know, just like you said, it's controlled by the pharmaceutical companies. So pharmaceutical companies, that's where trillions of dollars are made. That's where big business is at, in bed with the cardiologist, in bed with, you know, medical doctors in general. Medical doctors, I think, start off on the right path. They want to do the right thing, but they're just so brainwashed into that, you know, into the medical pharmaceutical paradigm. And it's just a matter of, okay, you have autoimmune, you know, rheumatoid, or you have autoimmune antiphospholipid antibody syndrome, or you have autoimmune multiple sclerosis, or autoimmune thyroid, celiac, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, you know, all these are all labels. These are all labels for certain conditions. But the question is, why does the body attack itself? Coronary artery disease is autoimmune. And how many cardiologists would say that? There's probably about 10 of us. Yet if I presented the data at a cardiology conference, if they would allow someone like me to speak there, I would be able to show them and just show them all the different steps of how it's an autoimmune condition. But the answer is not a pharmaceutical. The answer is not shut down the immune system. The answer is, how do we correct the immune system and back up the process of how the body attacks itself? So again, whether the body is attacking the joints as in rheumatoid, or it's attacking the heart, or it's attacking the brain as in, you know, multiple sclerosis, or the thyroid mentioned. And again, so that's what we have to figure out. And we have figured it out. And the figure it out thing is the nutrition. It's the lifestyle. It's the mental health aspect. The brain is so intimately controlled with the immune system. And therefore, if the brain is not functioning well, not only from a physical brain standpoint, but from a thought process standpoint, that impacts the entire rest of the body. And once again, once we get people to understand that and listen, and we would all like to see it happen faster. I know Kelly would like to say, hey, listen, my documentary should be seen by every single high school student. And I agree 1,000% compared to all the other garbage that high school students would watch. But if you would have asked anybody 20 years ago, hey, we've got rheumatoid or we've got this, who should you go see from a natural standpoint? You would say nobody. Now in your Rolodex, you've got a lot of different options, a lot of different people. But back to Kelly's point, how do you pay for it? Well, I think, in general, listen, the more people, my book, The Paleo Cardiologist, is $21.95 retail. You can buy it on Amazon for less. I have it available on our website, where all you have to do is pay for the shipping. If you send me an email and you're like, you know what, I am so down and out right now, I don't have the $6 for shipping, I'll send you a copy of the book as my gift. I wrote the book to get it into the hands of everybody. And if you follow that advice, I think you'll do very, very well. Yet at the same time, how do we get people a little more dialed in? It's just, insurance does not cover the stuff that I do. Insurance could never pay me for my 2-hour initial consultation. Insurance cannot pay others for their information. Insurance pays for quick visits to the doctor that end up with pharmaceuticals and side effects and no answers. But the person has to do a little more work too. There's so much information that's for free. There's so much information that's out there for the cheap. Sometimes in the end, you got to pay more for whether it's for the food. But listen, if we tell people sunshine is one of the most healthy things you can do, sunshine is free. Outdoor light is free. Going to sleep with the sun down and waking up before the sunrise, that's free. And sleep is probably the single most important thing in our lives.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so key and so critical, because part of what we're taught and what we read and what we learn is that the sun is dangerous for us. Cover up, wear sunscreen. What's your perspective on that simple one, Doc?
Yeah, it's just, all life. I'm staring right outside my window right now. All life, all plants, all animals, all life forms, again, they're outside in the sun. A tree, a flower, they grow towards the sun. An animal in the wild basks in the sunlight. Why are humans different? Why should we behave any differently? Now, sunburn is bad. When I was in high school and college up in Chicago, and I went down to South Florida and got sunburn, that was bad. I was eating unhealthy lifestyle, and a massive dose of sun exposure was bad. Yet the data says that the people with the lowest risk of melanoma, skin cancer, are outdoor workers, people that work outside. So again, it's an opportunity to get smart sunshine, embrace the power of the sun. People with the highest levels of vitamin D have the lowest risk of everything. Where do you get vitamin D from? You get it from the sun. I wrote a blog post for The Truth About Cancer, 17 different cancers that you reduce the risk of with more sun exposure. So again, it is about the sleep. It is about the sun. Those two, I think, are much more important than the food, to be honest with you. The sleep and the sun are much more important than the food, but the sun, the sleep, that's all, mental health, mental wellness, it starts from those areas.
Let's jump a little bit into nutrition, because the name of your book is The Paleo Cardiologist, which kind of surprised me, because a lot of people in the circle that I'm following and paying attention to tend to be more plant-based believers, especially those that are working to heal and reverse cancers. What is it about the paleo that attracted you, and why are you such a strong believer in the paleo?
Well, once again, the book's called The Paleo Cardiologist. A couple chapters are about nutrition. It's all about living the paleo lifestyle. What is paleo? Paleo is short for Paleolithic, which is a description of a time period before recorded history. So from about 2 million years ago to, let's say, 20,000 years ago, before the agricultural revolution came in, that was Paleolithic or prehistoric. We are paleo peoples. Our genetics are exactly the same as they were 30,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago. We are hunter-gatherers. We are born to hunt and gather, and we hunt and gather meat. We hunt and gather seafood. We, of course, eat plants as well. So it's not that we're plant-free, but it's about hunting and gathering eggs and avocados and coconuts, free-range grass-fed meats, wild seafood. Everything is organic. Of course, there's a lot of debate. There's vegans, there's vegetarians, there's pescatarians. To the other extreme, of course, is a new popular thing where people are going keto into a ketogenic process. And then even more extreme would be carnivore, where essentially they're eating over 70% of their diet is animal-based. And I think, once again, there's plenty of that could support any of these behaviors, but why try and reinvent the wheel? We are born to be hunter-gatherers. What if someone came out with a book that's called The Helium Solution, and instead of breathing air, instead of enjoying oxygen, you breathe helium? You would laugh at that person. That's not congruent. So why do we have to debate this? We don't need to tell a lion what to eat. We don't need to tell, a wolf what to eat, or a giraffe or a camel. Every animal species on Earth either eats other animals or they eat a lot of insects. The vegan is the only one who's not. So as far as like a cancer reversal protocol, again, I don't have a lot of experience with cancer patients per se, but if I was to take a cancer patient and to give them organic vegetables, to give them as clean a food as possible and a totally clean, beautiful, healthy lifestyle, would I say, hey, you know what, don't eat wild salmon on that diet because that's going to stoke the cancer? There's no evidence of that. Omega-3 fats heal cancer. The proteins that you get, the nutrients that you get from eating animal products that you cannot find in plants. Again, it's just giving the body what it needs, and those needs are hunter-gatherer paleo foods. It's pretty simple.
Touching on cancer a bit, what's your perspective on the traditional, typical care of perhaps surgery, chemo, and radiation?
Well, I mean, listen, as I said, I spoke at the Truth About Cancer a couple of times. I got a couple of friends that are, holistic cancer doctors. One of my best friends in the entire world is a conventional cancer doctor at a major university institution. And, once again, cancer to me is an autoimmune condition only in the sense that it's the immune system that has failed to detect an abnormal cancerous malignant cell. And the purpose of the immune system is to find that cell and to destroy it. Say this is a mutant growing inside of a person's body and then therefore kill it. But because the person is sick, because of poor nutrition, poor lifestyle, poor mental health, they will, they're not going to be able to find that cancer cell. They're not going to be able to reverse that. And they're going to wind up with metastatic cancer. So again, if we give people the sleep, we give people the sunshine. I mean, to me, I think the sun is one of the most healing things a cancer person can do. It's, and I said this at the Truth About Cancer, it's virtually impossible to get healthy in the same environment where you got sick. Mm-hmm. So you need to change that environment. You need to challenge your environment. You need to, find a healthier place.
When a patient gets a diagnosis, whether it be for heart disease or any other disease, what do you think, how much does the prognosis impact their ability to either reverse, heal, or not make it, pass away? How much does the mental psyche play into it?
Well, I think in a lot of people, it's a tremendous, part to it is that, when you give someone a cancer diagnosis, oftentimes they think, okay, I'm just gonna, get my affairs in order and I'm done. And in that case, they will be correct. Yet there's other people that are diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, for example, and they walk out of the doctor's office because the doctor said, we're going to do surgery, we're going to do chemo, we're going to do radiation. And the person walks out of the office and they say, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to defeat this. Yet they go back to the same food. They go back to the same lifestyle. They're going to rely on the medical system to beat this, and they're going to die because they do. It's just not going to work. There's no, the medical side, there is no cure for stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Now, I'm not saying that it's very easy or we've got a lot of cases of it, but clearly the holistic cancer doctors, they've got people that live a lot longer than the average life expectancy. So you're right, changing that mindset to we can beat this. But again, what's the plan to beat it? Is the plan to beat it surgery, chemo, and radiation? Or is the plan, we're going to do radical nutrition changes. We're going to get the sun. We're going to get the sleep. We're going to meditate. We're going to do yoga. We're going to do outdoor physical activity. As Kelly mentioned before, we're going to ground every single day. How am I going to beat cancer? Move to let me say this, guys. There was a movie a few years ago, which everybody has seen. It's called Castaway with Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks, the actor, he winds up on the remote island after a plane crash from working for FedEx. And he winds up on the island, and the only thing he has there is the volleyball Wolfson. But on that island, what does he do? He eats coconuts, fish, and vegetables. He goes to sleep with the sun down. He awakes with the sunrise. He's in the sun all the time. There's no pollution, no chemicals. I believe that if we all live on that island like Tom Hanks, we live until 130, we never get sick, we never get rheumatoid, we never get cancer, we never have heart attacks. Our mental health is absolutely incredible. The only problem I see with Tom Hanks in that movie is that he suffers from social isolation. And we are meant to be with other people. We're meant to be in touch and grounded and physically contacted with other people. And Tom Hanks doesn't have that in the movie. Social isolation markedly accelerates your risk of heart disease, cancer, dementia, and early onset death. So that's one thing I don't enjoy about that. But when I see sick people, I tell them, go find your island. Either move to that island or try and find that island as much as possible. I spoke at an event called Integrative Healthcare Symposium from Mark Hyman back in February. And I happened to be talking to this woman in the lobby of the hotel, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And I tell her, and she's like, "Oh, I've got severe lung disease and something called pulmonary hypertension." And she's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "What do I think?" I said, "You live in New York City in Midtown Manhattan, one of the most polluted places in the entire world, and you're telling me about your lung disease?" I said, "Get out of here." I said, move out of this location and your body will start to heal itself. No matter what pharmaceuticals they give in that environment, she's done. So there you
Beautiful.
go.
Did she move? Did she take your advice?
I think I told her my consult prices and she thought the prices were too high. So I don't know. What can I tell you?
Well, if she moved out of New York and saved just 1 month of rent or a mortgage, she'd be able to afford to see you and heal.
Yeah. I mean,
It's about
once again, whether or
choices,
not,
right? We have choices every single day.
yeah.
And we pick and choose what we think we can and can't afford a lot of the time. So for example, let's talk about coffee for a moment. I had no idea that there was even such a thing as organic coffee until a couple of years ago. I had no idea. Starbucks is probably the biggest coffee purveyor in the world, and they do not offer an organic coffee on their menu. Why? What is wrong? Why is organic coffee so important? If you're going to drink coffee.
I've kind of gone back and forth, let me say this. I grew up a coffee drinker, and it was garbage coffee. My father was a coffee drinker in hospitals, styrofoam cups, the cheapest of the cheap stuff. It's absolutely terrible. So, when I met my wife, she said, all this coffee is not healthy, whatsoever. It all taxes the adrenals and stuff like that. But coffee was something that I really enjoyed. I wanted to stick with it. So it was like, okay, well, how can we get the best coffee available? And then you could find organic coffee. And now on Amazon and stuff like that, there's a million different companies that do organic. And the literature really supports coffee consumption for overall health and wellness, whether it's cancer, heart disease, dementia, you name it. So we tell people, just because it's so high in antioxidants, the coffee bean or coffee seed, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, it is so high in antioxidants that combat the free radical damage that occur on a daily basis. So I recommend drinking organic coffee. There's a particular organic coffee that we use that is no mold, the highest source of antioxidants. We recommend that as well. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's not a matter of we want to end the party. It's a matter of we need to change the party. We need to make sure that if you're eating ice cream, like if Kelly's, when Kelly's pregnant, or next time she's pregnant and she's like, I'm craving ice cream. Well, just go to a natural grocers or a place to get organic ice cream where you get all the flavor you love, all the sugar that you love, all the dairy that you love, but none of the chemicals. And if your thing is coffee or it's cupcakes or whatever, pizza, whatever it is, just do it organically. That's a great start. I happen to always be organic, and I'm 100% gluten free. I think gluten is absolute poison. So if we can, start with that, I think people will really start to heal and do well.
Beautiful. Kelly, I know that you had requested to jump out a little bit early in our conversation. I'd like to invite you to share perhaps if you have any questions or question for Dr. Wolfson, or just your observation of having done this project and knowing that this is just the beginning for you. I know you're not done. You're going to continue to help educate, bring awareness to the public on that we do have choices in healthcare as opposed to being serviced through sick care. I'd invite you to share some closing thoughts and comments, perhaps.
Oh yeah, I know. It's always we could have a conversation forever. So I'm so sorry that I have to cut it short. So much to discuss and explore, and I just really appreciate Dr. Wolfson for coming on, because he's a wealth of information. And I guess just to piggyback onto what you were just talking about, I'm really curious to explore, as far as diet, everyone's like, what do you eat? Please share what you eat on a daily basis. You're so healthy, da, 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 da. And I think my approach is, I think the biggest message you can share with people is like, listen to your body. You need to really, whether you're on a healing journey or trying to prevent going down that path, it's really listening to your body. Your body is constantly in conversation with you. Symptoms are a conversation. If you start to pay attention and you're present, and you start to pay attention how you feel after putting stuff in your body, your body will tell you what it resonates with and what it doesn't. So I'm so curious about the gluten thing, because and I'd love him to speak to this just briefly, because I find a lot of people say, oh, I traveled to Europe and the grains there are different. They're fresher, they're non-GMO. And so I just loved you to speak to, is gluten the culprit? Is it a global universal thing that gluten is this inflammatory poison? Or, for me, I feel that it's all the preservatives, all the chemicals that they add into breads and pastas and things. So like I said, you go to Europe and you get clean, fresh sources that were just, harvested 2 days prior or whatever. There's no preservatives. It's all freshly cooked. So just want to speak to that, because I think my philosophy is, obviously pay attention to how foods that I put in my mouth make me feel. Oftentimes you eat a piece of bread and all of a sudden your nose is running, and people just don't pay attention to these things. And that's an allergic reaction, right? Or that's your body's trying to expel things that are not resonating with the body. So I guess just speak to that a little bit. My kind of overall arching philosophy is eat foods local, organic as much as possible, and with the most simple ingredients as possible. You want fresh, if you're going to eat bread, fresh baked bread where there's only 3 or 4 ingredients, not 16 ingredients that you can't even pronounce because they're all preservatives. So speak to that a little bit, I guess.
Sure. And I'm not going to argue with anything, that you said. In fact, there was something that I read years ago that was about checking your pulse after you eat a particular food. And if your pulse goes up by more than 10 beats per minute, then you probably have some kind of sensitivity to that food. When it comes to gluten, that small sticky protein found in wheat, barley, and rye, and hidden in so many other food sources, our ancestors never ate gluten. They never ate that food up until the agricultural revolution, and only over the last, probably a couple hundred years have we done such a heavy amount of gluten. A lot of people talk about this, whether it's David Perlmutter with Grain Brain, the neurologist, Bill Davis, the cardiologist, wrote Wheat Belly, Tom O'Brien, who is a very, very, very well-known gluten researcher and is really contacting these people. They will tell you that grain and specifically gluten is a problem, even when you go to Europe. So why do people feel better when they go to Europe and they eat the food? I think a lot of it, Kelly, has to do with the fact that they're in Europe, they're on vacation. Like that whole mental mindset and the environment is so, listen, you're walking around the hills of Tuscany and you come across this tiny village with fresh baked bread. That's a really phenomenal opportunity, but yet people feel better and their gut may feel better, but when they have their markers of inflammation checked, the objective markers, they still see the inflammation that's there. So again, and the other thing too is that we do a lot of gluten sensitivity testing and leaky gut testing in our office, and so many people suffer from it. And then when we clear out the gluten, they do get better. But I agree with you. If you're going to eat bread, make it organic, make it simple. Maybe sourdough is the best of those varieties that do contain gluten. It may not be a problem for everybody, but I think also there are plenty of gluten-free options that hopefully are better. There's a brand that we love called Canyon Bakehouse. And Canyon Bakehouse has a lot of organic ingredients in there. It tastes like real bread. So that's an option, for people, as well. But again, as we try and look for, for the cause in people's sickness, is it possible that people's consumption of gluten leads to leaky gut, which leads to leaky heart, which leads to a heart attack? The answer is yes.
Thank you.
Kelly, I'm so excited. I feel so honored and humbled that you took time out of your busy week. I know you just got back from vacation to step into the studio and have this so important conversation. I am so blessed that I was given a gift of meeting you and getting to know you and build this relationship of respect for what we're doing and how we are leading the way, how we are bringing people into the conversation. And I look forward to having future opportunities to continue the conversation and to help spread the knowledge, the awareness so that people can wake up and begin to take back their life, take back the power and take it away from the pharmaceutical companies and doctors that choose not to expand their own knowledge and understanding of the difference between sick care and healthcare. And so thank you so much for joining both Dr. Wolfson and myself today, and enjoy the balance of your day.
Thank you. And just, again, I just want to say that, it's an honor to know you, and you are really like such the embodiment of someone who's taking their health back, and you're facing, very serious diagnosis and health challenges. And you're you're not giving up, and you're approaching everything the right way, and you just have the most amazing spirit and healthy mindset. And I just commend you for that, because it's easy to get frustrated and give up and everything you face, and you keep like climbing the mountain, and and summiting, and then there's another mountain kind of presented to you, and you just pick it up and start climbing that mountain. So thank you. It's an honor to be on here. And Dr. Wolfson, so nice chatting with you. Hopefully we can do this again, and have a blessed day, both of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kelly, if I could say one more thing too, as long as I'm standing on my soapbox about so many things, I do know, you've done so many amazing things, and the Heal documentary, of course, is fantastic and changing the world. But to me, for what it's worth, my opinion, you being the mom that you are with your baby girl, that's the most important thing in the world. And you take all the time in the world to be with your baby girl, and the problems will be here when you get back to really plugged in, whatever, if you will, it'll be here. But these are such precious, precious moments. And, you, just like my wife, you're such powerhouse women who will continue to change the world. Yet at the same time, there's nothing like being a mom, and nothing like being a dad, and being around and all that stuff. It really is so important. You know that. So kudos to you. And it's a pleasure to know you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That's amazing. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Enjoy, Kelly. Have an awesome day, and thanks for joining us again.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Doc, you mentioned earlier about, you suggest go buy yourself an island. And not everybody can afford to buy an island, but you see, we can choose to find a mountain. We could choose to find an ocean. We could choose to find a lake or a pond or a river. It's a choice to stay in an environment, a toxic environment that is actually impacting our ability to be healthy. When I made the decision to leave the ocean shoreline of Huntington Beach, California, because although it had some tremendous health benefits, I mean, the negative ions and the grounding that took place was beautiful. In one moment, when I was told that the bypass for my fem-to-fem artery was 100% occluded, yet they had found a blood pressure of 70% with collaterals that I had created, vessels down to my toes, down to my ankle. I knew then that what I needed a mountain. I needed more than the ocean, because I wanted to take my blood pressure from 70. My intention was set to bring it up to 100%, so I could live with no more pain when I walk. And so 3 weeks later, I said my goodbyes to my love affair, my love story that I had with the ocean, and I moved to the mountains so that I could up level my own health. And so, I bought my own mountain, and I'll continue to show up and invest in this mountain, because when I invest in a mountain, I'm investing in my health. And when I invest in my health and I share my story with those in the community that we have built together, we change the world one step at a time, one boulder at a time, just by showing up.
Yeah, most certainly, Jay. It's not even a matter of going to find your own island or buying your island. It's about trying to live that lifestyle as much as possible. So, do I think the ultimate is to go to the island? I do. Do I think that's realistic for people? No. But it's a matter of changing your environment where you got sick, and even you, Jay, where you're in Huntington Beach. Yet Huntington Beach is associated with a lot of stress, maybe a lot of electromagnetic pollution, maybe a lot of air pollution. As much as we think, all that ocean breeze is coming in, that's in the heart of, LA, Orange County right there. Maybe 50 years ago, it was paradise, not so much anymore. So in any case, wherever you got sick, change up your environment, change up your lifestyle, change up your food habits. And that's the point, is that there are answers to the sickness.
Beautiful. Before we head out, I want to just bring up a topic that I know you're very passionate about. It actually this topic for you, brought you a lot of exposure. CNN, all the cable news networks picked up your story. CNN, Fox, Wall Street Journal, USA Today. That topic is vaccines. And I'd like to invite you just to spend a few moments on this topic. Why are you so passionate? And what is your experience and your perspective on why vaccines are good or bad for children?
Well, I think that, this is obviously, it's a long answer, but I think for those people that have listened to me over the last hour, those people that have read my book, those people that come to our website and my podcast, The Healthy Heart Show, I think you all know that I am about giving the body what it needs and taking away what it doesn't. And that's the way to health. Like, we are born and we are genetically designed to be perfect. We are genetically designed to be perfect. We can see and run and jump and heal and feel, and we can procreate and make new babies. Like, we can do just about anything. Where do the pharmaceuticals come into that story? Where do statin drugs or blood pressure drugs or chemotherapy or vaccines come into that story? So I am never about injecting the body with chemicals, certainly newborn babies. Can you imagine, Jay, they're injecting newborn babies with the vaccine for hepatitis B, a virus you get from sleeping with prostitutes and using intravenous drugs. So, chicken pox. You had chicken pox. I had chicken pox. People have a history of chicken pox have a lower risk of cancer in the literature. Men and women who have a history of measles and mumps have a much, much lower risk of heart attack and stroke. But no one talks about that. And the doctors that are talking about it, they're running scared. But there's a lot of us that are out there. There's a lot of us that are out there, more and more, that are saying enough is enough. Enough is enough with the pharmaceutical industry. And like I said, injecting newborn babies with multiple vaccines for measles, mumps, rubella. These are benign childhood illnesses. You know how many people have died in the United States? How many children have died in the United States in the last 25 years of measles? None. And there's a lot of them that are unvaccinated, and measles still exists. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of cases every year. So what can I tell you, buddy? That's the story.
Thank you. Well, you just did. I appreciate you just touching on that. If a parent chooses not to vaccine their kids, what options or choices are you aware of that they can do for education? Because most school districts across the U.S. say no vaccines, no entry pass.
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly the lawmakers and the pharmaceutical companies are taking it into their own hands. They're taking it out. They're taking the rights away from the parents. They firmly believe, including one female candidate for president who lost the previous election. She believes that the children are properties of the state. And therefore, as a property of the state, you can go ahead and do whatever you want and therefore vaccinate. And that's where the laws are all going to, unless some miracle happens. That's where it's going to happen. But as of right now, to educate yourself, there's a lot of great books that are available, a lot of great movies that are available. We've got a website called Vaccine Free Kids that people can check out. We also have a website called Detox from Vaccines. Again, there's some phenomenal books. There's also the National Vaccine Information Center. You can go to Robert F. Kennedy's site, Children's Health Defense. There's a lot of people, a lot of medical doctors, a lot of chiropractors, a lot of holistic people, a lot of people just in the general public, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's saying, hey, this isn't the right way. There's a better way.
Beautiful.
Again, we want to build up the immune system of the body of the child and of the adult. And we're never going to defeat all the viruses. We're never going to defeat the bacteria. In fact, viral DNA, bacterial DNA is in our DNA. We are we of the same planet, just like, your gut microbiome. The bugs live in the gut. And we live with the bugs. Without the bugs, we're dead. It's all about how we live in balance with viruses, bacteria, parasites, fungi, whatever it may be. It's about being in that balance.
Where does autoimmune begin? Where does disease begin?
I mean, the body doesn't make mistakes. So when we don't give the body the tools it needs, the body can't perform. We need to give it the gas. We need to give it the right fuel. You can't take diesel fuel and put it into a regular gasoline car and vice versa. We have to give our bodies the right fuel in order for it to perform. And the fuel, again, is the sleep, the sun, the food, the chemical avoidance, chiropractic care. I think that the doctor of chiropractic should be your primary care doctor. It shouldn't be somebody with a prescription pad. It shouldn't be somebody who has a stethoscope, around their neck. The primary care doctor should be the doctor of chiropractic.
Beautiful. It's that time, Doc. I want to respect your time. I know you got a day ahead of you. Closing thoughts.
No, I appreciate, you having me on, and that's all we can do is, it's easy to get down in the world. It's easy to get, fatalistic, nihilistic about what's happening. I totally get that. But at the same time, we have to continue to look towards the beauty. We have to continue to, fight the battles. We have to be active in this endeavor. And, whether it's you and I talking on Facebook or in person or from the stage, or in any venue where we can continue to share this information with people, the revolution's not going to come from the government. The revolution's not going to come from the pharmaceutical and the food industry. The revolution will only come from the people.
Beautiful. I'm going to end by saying two things. One is ignorance is a choice. I didn't understand that until I woke up, because I was one of those pill poppers. I was hooked on pharmaceuticals for psych meds, for anxiety for 21 years, antibiotics for decades. And my gut was hammered by my nutrition, eating junk food, fast food. I was in the business of restaurant design for 38 years. So all the damage that was caused to my gut was self-induced by choices I made because I didn't know. Today, ignorance is a choice because there's a whole world of free information through resources that were almost impossible to touch or reach before. With the internet today, with the global reach that we have, it's all here. We just have to be willing to open our minds and our hearts to consider just what if. What if what I believe was the truth, in fact, is not, it's a lie, and what I thought was a lie may in fact be the truth. And so with that, Doc, thank you so much for joining me on this important conversation that both you, Kelly, and I had this morning. I'm going to ask you to stay in the studio just for about 20 seconds as we head on out. Thank you for joining us live on Real People, Real Health. We'll catch you next time.